I'm O.W. Root, and this is Pleasant Peninsula. When was the last time you slept outside? When was the last time you slept on the ground? When was the last time you slept in a tent? For me, it was Friday night with my kids. We slept out back in a tent just for something fun to do. Because, when you're a kid, that's what you want to do. You just want to have fun. It doesn't even really matter what it is, as long as it's different from the norm. And as long as it's not work, like cleaning up or chores or something like that, it's fun. And so we slept outside in the back, set the tent up Friday afternoon, went out there late Friday night and had a great sleep outside. Sleeping outside is different, even if it's in the back, even if you're not in a national forest or national park, even if you're not camping, even if you're just out back behind your house, it's different sleeping outside. You hear everything more. The wind is different. You can't really hear the wind. Even if your windows are open inside your house, you can't really hear the wind. You can't hear the trees above. There's a way the way the wind blows back and forth on the trees. It's so different in the middle of the night when you're outside, when the only thing that's separating you is that tiny, thin little, sheet of plastic or whatever the material Coleman tents are made out of. It's a wonderful thing. And in the middle of the night, the wind started getting cold and you could feel it come through the windows, and it was such a refreshing, wonderful breeze. And then the rain started coming. And luckily we put the rain fly on nice and tight, because it was basically a downpour. It was raining hard in the middle of the night. A lot of wind, a lot of rain just coming down, and it was so loud. The rain was so loud and it was so amazing. You don't hear the rain like that inside. When you're inside in your bed, listen, there's something beautiful when you got the window open and you're inside and you can hear the raindrops dripping from the gutters. That's beautiful, absolutely. But it's different when you're outside in a tent. It feels so loud, so immersive. It's just all around you. And the kids and I woke up. I don't even know what time it was because I didn't even have my watch. Didn't have anything. I can only assume it was, 3:42, 3:45, sometime like that. We woke up and we listened and we talked about how loud it was and how fun it was. And again, kids just love something different, something fun. And sleeping out in a tent is beautiful and it is fun. And I grew up doing it with my parents. My parents were hardcore tent campers. They were people who would judge anyone who wasn't sleeping on the ground in a tent. And they were hardcore. We camped out to Maine in a tent, all 5 of us. And sometimes it was one big tent, or sometimes it was 2 small tents. We camped all through the UP. They took us on a trip all the way out to California and back. They drove us for Google Maps with paper maps in a tent. We camped all the way out to California and back. That's a really cool thing. My parents took us all the way to Acadia National Park out in Maine, and all the way out to the ocean out in California, and all in a tent. So I have so many fond memories of being with my family in a tent, being with my siblings, and there's something special about it. It's because you're outside. It's because you're kind of roughing it, whatever. Because you're all together, because you can't get away, and it's just something so different. And so we did that Friday night, and it was not a national park. It was not particularly difficult. It was not roughing it or anything like that. It was just in the back behind our house, me and the kids in the tent, listening to the rain in the middle of the night. It was something special. And it reminded me of my childhood. And kids just want to have fun. And that's one of the beautiful things about having kids. It allows you to have fun, innocent fun. Rediscover something. Rediscover the wonder and the beauty of just laying outside and listening to that breeze and listening to that rain and marveling at how cool it is. Just simple pleasures. That's what kids give to us. You are not going to be visiting Mackinac Island this summer. Nope, you are too broke. I'm sorry to say it. It's not going to happen. Don't believe me? Let's roll that video.
You're too poor to ride the ferry. You hear that? It's because Arnold Transit Company and Shepler's Mackinac Island Ferry, the only ferry companies offering regular service to the island, are both owned by Hoffman Marine, a subsidiary of a Florida-based private equity firm named the Hoffman Family of Companies, and they want to squeeze every red cent out of every good Michigander until there aren't any pennies left. But people have had enough. On May 21st, the Michigan House of Representatives voted 91-16 in favor of Senate Bill 304. giving Mackinac Island the ability to approve or deny ferry rates from Hoffman Marine. Now, Hoffman Marine are the ones with the problem.
Not a good situation up there. Not a good vibe with the ferries. Not a good relationship between the people of the island and Hoffman Marine. You know, I learned about this before a lot of people on the mainland heard about this, because I was on Mackinac Island, not this past winter, but the winter before. And at the city council meeting in February or March, they were discussing this, and people were not happy. Locals were not happy. The people who rely on this stuff all year for their livelihood, going to get groceries, all sorts of stuff, they were not happy. And joining the meeting via Zoom was a lawyer for Hoffman Marine, and not a good vibe. Not a good vibe. The people of the island were essentially communicating to him that they were going to either pursue anti-monopoly legislation or a lawsuit, but it was the situation that was occurring was not going to continue to occur, and they were essentially fed up with it. And it was not a good situation. So I knew about this before it sort of bubbled up and boiled over, as of just this past May. So it's been interesting to see this sort of come to the forefront and boil up and boil over. And I want to say a few things that I didn't say in the video about this, because it's a very interesting situation here. Because these ferries, they're privately owned. But if you own both ferries, the only mass transit ways to the island, it's the only mass transit way to get to the island. If you own both of those, that is obviously a monopoly. And essentially your rate that you're charging becomes almost like a toll road. It almost becomes a maritime toll road. And it does, whether you like it or not, come into the public interest, because there are people that live on that island who, I mean, you can go to the most extreme, who need to get off the island for hospital visits, for medical stuff, for food. I mean, there's all, and food needs to be shipped in. I mean, there's a lot of externalities here. So it's really easy to just hear the ferry prices and think about that one time you go to the island every 10 years and say, yeah, it's kind of annoying that it was that expensive. But now scale that out. Once you scale that out into looking at food, the cost of getting on and off, transport to all of the goods onto the island, increases start to trickle down, and it has a whole bunch of other impacts on the daily life of an island. And if prices increase a certain amount, and if tourism decreases, and it doesn't even need to be that much, 3%, these numbers start to become cataclysmic, really. I mean, or if not cataclysmic, very crucial. They're not just an annoying fee you paid one time. They start to make life a little different, and maybe a lot different. And so this is where this public interest comes in here. And this is why there's essentially a problem. When you're operating a monopoly and you're essentially controlling the toll road to the island, whether you like it or not, you are operating something that is in the public interest, and you are going to have to address different things that just a restaurant or a shop that sells, I don't know, shoes, or a place that builds cameras, or a place that sells TVs or furniture or whatever, lawnmowers. It is a different thing. It's not simply a business in that same way. It becomes something different with public interest in mind. And this is why they have run into a serious problem. And another thing I want to say too is that I don't think anyone would have a problem. Actually, I know no one would really have a problem with Hoffman Marine owning both Shepler's and Arnold Transit Company. I know no one would have a problem with this private equity firm from Florida owning both of them and having a monopoly. On paper, that sounds pretty bad. But most people don't really care about on paper. They care about the brass tacks reality. And so let's set aside the on paper situation of because it is a little disconcerting, private equity firm from Florida owning both of these in a monopoly. Put aside the paper, just put aside the brass tacks. I don't think the normal people would have nearly as much of a problem here if there was not a sense that, or if essentially Hoffman Marine didn't act like they didn't care. If people didn't feel like they were getting gouged in some way. If Hoffman Marine behaved as if they were from here, even though they're not. If Hoffman Marine was, sorry to say, a more responsible steward of these legacy ferry companies, because they're legacy ferry companies. And it is clear to me, following this, that they have not behaved in that manner, which comes down to just business practices. You know, if you don't operate in a good way, that's not going to be so great for your business. It's that simple, you know? I mean, there's good business practices, there's bad business practices. So I don't think anyone would have a problem with them owning these if they operate in a better way. And if they didn't create this environment with the people of the island that is not only of distrust, but of distaste. I don't think anybody's particularly happy with Hoffman Marine. I don't think I've heard a single person say something positive about the new owners of these ferry companies. And that's a problem. It comes down to business practices. And so we'll see what happens here, but the lesson to me is that whether you're doing local business or whether you're doing big business, whether you own a company states away or wherever, thousands of miles away, or whether it's 10 feet away, the way you do business matters. It's going to impact your relationship with your customers, and it's going to impact how your business does. I'm O.W. Root for Michigan Enjoyer.